to Up Front. I missed you guys, but we're back. You know me already. This is Homicide. This is Tommy Hirsch. We're back to discuss. Well, you know what? Forget all of that. First of all, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Good to be here again.
Glad you're here, man. Actually, we wasn't even going to do Up Front today. My energy wasn't right. But TH was like, listen, man, I'm ready to go. Get some Red Bull, get something, and let's do this. And that's why we're here. We're going to jump right into it. Mm-hmm. You see the hat on the table. Sydney Kings literally just went from the laughingstock of the league to a legitimate championship contender by signing Andrew Bogut. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no other way to describe it, but it's a game changer for the league. This is probably the biggest news in the league since Larry Kesterman took over like 4 years ago. I mean, you're talking about Bogut legitimizing this league. He's bringing not only his talent on the court, but the name, the recognition, the media attention. I mean, there was a full suite for the press conference today. It's on free-to-air news. Channel 7's got it. Channel 9's got it. I mean, we don't get this kind of publicity for basketball ordinarily in this country. This is huge. And, as you said, Sydney, I mean, they finished the season on a bit of a roll anyway with Randall and Lish, Newley, Blanchfield. You throw the big fella in the middle, their biggest weakness, interior defense, rebounding, a target, they are absolutely contenders.
That is a game changer. And guess what? I'm just happy I'm here to witness this thing and be a part of it. Because the NBL continues to impress me, I'm sure you, and everyone else that's a part of basketball in Australia with the power moves they have been making. Shout out again to the NBL because I know they mean business when moves like this are being made. This man can still play in the NBA. He's still got at least a year left.
Absolutely.
He's a veteran, and he brings good locker room presence, his experience. He's a championship center, and he could help a team make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So for him to retire from the NBA and say, I'm going to join the NBL on a 2-year deal with the Sydney Kings, that says a lot about him.
Absolutely. I mean, it's huge, and he's made a massive commitment. He is all in. I mean, not only announcing his retirement from the NBA, no NBA out clause, no European out clause. This man took a stake in the team. He took 10% in the team.
Wow. And
there's talk that could increase up to 50% when he chooses to hang up the boots eventually. I mean, he is all in on the NBL, and it's just fantastic for the league.
And honestly, you know what? He's done everything he could possibly do to represent Australia the right way. Boomer is obviously, 4-time Olympian? Three-time Olympian. You know, he's done all the stuff that he's done. Look, his accolade list goes on and on as far as what he's done in the NBA. So, you know, just like everywhere else in the world, Europeans, when they're done playing, they go home and finish their career. So it's only right for him to come home and really jumpstart a league here, his position here in the league, and his new career here at home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good on him, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, and he's had history with the Sydney Kings too. So 2012, you go back to the lockout. Paddy Mills came out to play with the Melbourne Tigers. Andrew Bogut had a done deal with Sydney at the time. Not many people remember that. He had a done deal, and the only thing that stopped him from coming out here was the insurance. They couldn't get the insurance right for his $30-something million contract with the Bucks at the time.
Right.
And that was the only reason. He had a playbook sent to him by management.
Wow.
So shout out to the Kings for staying in touch. He always, I think he said at the time that if he does end up coming back to the NBL, Sydney would always be on his mind after that experience. And, you know, lo and behold, here he is. There was also talk that he was looking at Melbourne United as well. And I first heard this about a week and a half ago. He was talking with them. I'm not sure what happened, whether there was a better offer from Sydney or it just made more sense for him. There was some talk today, he said, about, you know, be a little skeptical about joining the champions, doing a bit of a KD kind of move.
Right.
You understand that, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's playing in Perth, in Cairns, in Sydney, in New Zealand. He's here. He's back for the NBL, and it's great for the league.
And I personally, we're going to talk about this thing for a while, so tune in, continue to tune in. I think the best thing that could have happened for the league, not just him being here, but him being with Sydney. Sydney needs a marquee player. They have Jerome Randall. Yes, they have Kevin Lish. But to have a marquee Australian in Sydney, of a man of this magnitude, that's going to sell out arenas. Because that arena is beautiful. And, you know, think about all the diehard Sydney Kings fans. As bad as they were doing 3/4 of the year, they were still showing up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know what? This is a game. There were 30 cameras at that press conference today. 30 plus cameras. That's never happened in the NBL.
No.
Never.
No.
So, listen, man, it's just great days lie ahead for the Sydney Kings and the NBL.
Yeah, and that team could really use a winner. I mean, it's just a really exciting time for them. He legitimizes everything that's going on there, the move to that huge arena, as you said. That's an NBA-style arena.
It sure is.
They're bringing an NBA talent.
Beautiful. Right. Now let's dig into it, because there's only 4 teams that can make the finals, man. This season, everybody's talking about last season, how amazing it was, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
This season, the stakes are even higher, because the typical powerhouses that just walk into the playoffs, the finals, that's not the case no more.
No.
Perth Wildcats, I'm talking about you.
Wow.
I'm not talking about nobody else.
Let's hold up for a second.
Okay. All right, I was about to go.
Powerhouses that are going to walk into the finals. They just added Nick Kay and Mitch Norton. And that's their future. That's their future Damian Martin, Matt Knight. That's a huge coup for Trevor Gleeson and the Wildcats. And I'm sorry, but they're going to walk right back into the finals next season.
I ain't buying that, because I'm going to tell you why. I ain't buying that. I'm going to tell you why. Sydney Kings going to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
The champs is going back to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Adelaide is going back to the finals.
Mm-hmm.
New Zealand, oh my God. Did I not say import is going to be the coach for New Zealand? Did not say that. I said it.
You did.
I'm telling you guys, he's going to reload that team. Sean Marion is a part owner.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's putting his name attached to something and he's not going to be all in? I'm telling you, that team is going to be loaded. And word on the street, there's a lot of Melbourne United executives. I don't know for sure, but I'm just hearing that's the word on the street.
Mm.
The biggest team that they are scared of right now is the New Zealand Breakers.
Wow.
I'm just telling you what the word on the street is.
Credit to new ownership. They haven't mucked around. Brought in Kevin Braswell. They've re-signed Finn Delaney. They've re-signed Tommy Abercrombie.
Shea Ellie.
Shea Ellie's obviously going to get the starting
Jared
night.
Weeks.
Let's talk about that. Shea Ellie is getting the starting night, according to Braswell. That's huge.
That is huge.
Your boy Sosa is...
hey, you know how it is.
Fun.
The beat goes on.
Yep.
As an import, you live out your bag, on to the next.
Yep.
So, good luck to my man Sosa. You still my man.
Yep. And word on the street is that Ty Wesley is heading back to New Zealand. Not confirmed yet, but that's the big word on the street. So that could be interesting for them. That could be a game changer as well.
Dang.
Yeah.
So the grown man is going back to New Zealand?
Yeah.
Wow. So that's him at the 4, right?
Yep.
Lockdown starting at the 4.
Mm-hmm.
Who they got at the 5?
They have Pledger,
right?
Yeah.
You know what that means? You just load up at the 2 and you load up at the 3.
Yep.
Maybe you even go for another 5.
Yeah.
To back up Pledger.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm them, bring Corey Webster back. Bring my man Corey Webster back. He blazed this league 2 years ago. Actually, it's too easy this league for him. Corey Webster, if you can hear me, bring your ass back to New Zealand. Come back to the NBL, B. I know you're doing your thing in Israel, but come back home. If Corey Webster come back, they go to the finals too. Perth ain't going. I ain't never getting off Perth's back. Perth ain't going to the finals. Everything I said about them last year was right, and I'm going to continue it. Everybody else is reloading heavy. They got to make a move.
Well, they made 2 moves.
All I tell you is this. Whoever your imports are, Bryce Cotton ain't coming back. So I don't have to hear about the 45 no more. I'm just saying, you're going to have to make some power moves because everybody else is. Sydney Kings was the laughing stock. You couldn't beat the Kings without Bogut. You're not beating the Kings with Bogut. That's the spot that they're going to get that Perth is going to lose out. Telling you.
Well, we'll see.
We're going to see.
Another great season.
All right, cool. Let me calm down.
One team we didn't mention, though.
Let's do it.
That's also retooled. The Brisbane Bullets. They've been making moves. They've been the big players early in free agency.
Oh, goodness,
now,
man.
you look at what they've added. They got Andre Lamanis as their coach, obviously, with the Boomers. He's brought in Jason Kadee at the point, Cam Glidden at the 2, and word is Matty Hodgson at the 5 spot, plus Mika Vukona at the 4.
Vukona.
That's a
solid crew
team now before they've got any imports.
True.
They had to do something. They've finished the last 2 years in a row.
Right.
Lamanna's had to retool, and he's brought in his guys that he's developed this relationship with. They know each other from the Boomers.
True.
FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers, Com Games. This is a really great move by the Bullets.
I agree. They reloaded early, especially. And your team is as good as your locals. And they have, obviously, national team players now on the team who's built a rapport with the coach as well as each other with Jason Kadee and Cam Glidden. I think that's a really good backcourt, number one. And two, Jason Kadee, I believe, needed to play somewhere different. Yeah. He's been in Sydney enough, and I think he's done the best he could possibly do. He needed somewhere different. So that was a great move for him to head up to Queensland. Cam Glidden, he's still in Queensland, was a good player. He did his thing with Cairns, and the same thing. He needed somewhere different to go. So hopefully that works well with them. The way I see it is this. It could only go up. They could only go up. They can't finish last 3 years in a row.
That's true.
So, you ain't going to make the finals, but you'll be better.
Wow.
You'll be better.
Knocking them out already.
Look, I already told you my top four. Sydney Kings, Melbourne United, New Zealand Breakers, and Adelaide. Perth ain't making it. Straight up. The Kings changed the game.
They did.
Yo, Jerome Randall, we talked FaceTime a couple of times. Yo, he was like, listen, I'm coming back from the beginning, and it's going to be different when I show up. Dudes thought they could disrespect me on the court, talking crazy, because we were losing and struggling, but it's going to be different this time around, and I'm going to be here from the beginning. That's what I'm talking about. You know what? If I'm not doing all the Sydney Kings games, it's going to be a problem. AJ, I'm telling you now. I ain't asking. I'm telling you. I'm doing Sydney Kings games with Hammer. Straight up.
Watch out, Brad Rosen. You're in trouble.
Brad Rosen, you coming too, us three. But I'm doing the Sydney Kings game. It's going to be must-see TV.
It is.
Kevin Lynch and Jerome Randall with the big fella? Come on, man. It's going to be dynamite action in Sydney. Not to mention, that's my favorite city in Australia. I was in Sydney last week. Look, I ain't getting caught up in the what's better, Melbourne or Sydney. I'm telling you, Sydney's better. Straight up. Oh, man, I had a blast. I had an amazing weekend last weekend in Sydney. Woo! My storyline was on fire. Story was on fire. Word, but I had a great time. I was in Double Bay.
It is a great city.
I went to jet skied to the NRL game. Literally, I was with Spud. What the hell is Spud last name? Spud Carroll. I went to Bill and Bob's show on Wednesday. Stretched my trip all the way to Monday. So we went via jet ski to Central Coast from Bayview. We started at Bayview, jet skied up. The story gets even more interesting. We get there, we park the jet ski, we go watch the NRL game. We're in the chairman's lounge, eating good, having a few drinks, chopping it up, watching this crazy game. Because listen, I got a lot of respect for those guys because it's literally like two cars going to each other like this. I was like, y'all, there's no pads on these people. That's crazy. So I tip my hat off. You guys are tough as hell. I couldn't play that game. You guys are tough. However, we left there. The Rabbits, Russell Crowe threw me a bunch of gear. Shout out to Russell Crowe. I appreciate the love. Gave me a bunch of Rabbits gear. And at the end of the game, they won. They beat the Raiders. Jumped back on the jet ski. Now we chasing the sun. Because now we got to go all the way back. It's about 40 minutes. All the way back. If you're in a car, it's an hour and a half with all the traffic. So we jet ski back. The water was kind of rough, right? The water was rough a little bit. But then once it got smooth like glass, we hit the gas and we were gone. Later that night, this is where the story gets interesting. Later that night, I go to a friend of mine's, Andrew's house. And, I told him what I did today. It was like, look, we know you went to the game. I said, yeah, we went jet skiing. It was dope. They said, mate, you went jet skiing? I said, yeah. They said, which way did you go? I said, we started at Bayview and just shot up to Central Coast. They said, dude, do you not understand it's a breeding ground for sharks? I said, what? They said, mate, from here to the wall, that's how big the sharks are. It's the breeding area for sharks, especially at this time of the year. I said, oh my God. So my black ass is jet skiing in the middle of where sharks are breeding. Spud, don't ever take me on no damn jet ski. I ain't going with you on no jet ski again. That's like the fine print you don't read in an ad. Because they say, this is, first month is free. And then on the bottom is like $60 a month, $200 a month after. You don't see the fine print. Spud, next time tell me it's a breeding ground. I definitely wouldn't have went. But either way, I had a good time. Anyway, enough of Sydney. Let's go into the other free agent signings. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, we're not even going to do that. I think we did that already. Let's go into... We get into my book. Commonwealth Games. Let's talk about the Commonwealth Games. Australia won gold.
Yep.
They did extremely well. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest, because the preliminary round game against New Zealand was a great game. New Zealand led for most of the time. The Boomers came back late, and I was looking forward to a rematch in the gold medal game. And then did you see that semi-final between the Tall Blacks and Canada? That crazy bank shot to knock New Zealand out?
You lying, man. I didn't even see it. I didn't see it.
Crazy shot. And I'm a bit disappointed the Tall Blacks didn't come through and give us a rematch of that. But you know what? Shout out to the Boomers. They did their thing. More experience playing together. These guys that have been under Lamanis, the NBL guys, through all the FIBA World Cup qualifying and now the Com Games, really built a nice rapport. Guys sub in, some out of that lineup. The culture's there, the system's there, the discipline's there, the honour for the jersey. I mean, everything you could possibly ask for. And they represented their country with pride and came away with gold. Shout out to the Opals who did exactly the same thing in the women's as well. But yeah, I think it's a great concept to try and expand this into the Com Games, but we need some more competition from some of the other countries, I think, if this is really going to take off in future.
Well, yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to the Boomers and the Opals. They went and did what they did. Regardless of what, gold is gold. And they got that.
Yeah.
My question to you is, as great as they played, forget Commonwealth Games, all those FIBA qualifications, they did their thing. They did what they needed to do. Mm-hmm. Who could make on that team if all the NBA players say they're playing in that game next August against Team USA, preparing for the Olympics? Mm-hmm. Who on that team can make that team?
So my top three out of all the guys that have been through the qualifying and the Com Games and everything, in no particular order, CG43, been there, done that, respect for what he does in the green and gold. Mitch Creek, being the standout, obviously, at the Asia Cup and probably through all the FIBA qualifying. And Mitch McCarron's my dark horse. And he's now doing his thing over in Europe as well. Those are the three that I think have the best shot to take those spots.
I agree with you. And I'm going to give you one even better. Money-making Mitch McCarron, he can play in the NBA.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. It's all about system and right opportunity. Mm-hmm. There's nothing he can't do on the court. He can shoot the three. He plays defense. He got handle. Got a nice mid-range. Can get to the rack. Finish with both hands. He can pass. And he can play defense.
Yeah.
So it's just all about him being in a right space. Mm-hmm. One point I was on TV a couple months ago. I think I did Bill and Bars. And I was like, look, money-making Mitch will not be in this league this year. He won't come back to the NBL. Because I had the opportunity to see, doing what I'm doing now, you get an opportunity to really watch these players night in, night out, and really see their skill level and their talent. And I was like, yo, homeboy got game. Mm-hmm. He and Jared Weeks, they got game. He's not a point guard. He's not a two guard. He's just a guard, So shout out to Money Making Mitch. He's doing his thing, catching bodies abroad in Slovenia. He's really doing his thing. And it's great to see him having an opportunity abroad and capitalizing on it, just like Mitch Creek, grown man business. What is he doing overseas in Germany? Killing it. So it's great to see local talent getting an opportunity to play international in other countries that are respected and doing well.
Absolutely. Mitch Creek's killing it right now in Germany, helping that team avoid relegation. Is he going to be back in the NBL next season? What do you think?
I think the biggest test for any local player is, okay, yeah, you do good in your league, right? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do in another country where you're an import? That's when you can understand and feel somewhat of pressure because you're not a local. Mm-hmm. And for these guys to be standing up, balling the way that they're balling, they're deserving of international opportunity. Mm-hmm. I think personally, Mitch Creek won't be back in here. Mitch Creek, I believe, and I said it earlier, he will have an opportunity to play in the league. Yeah. Your national team, you're killing it. Mm-hmm. Your regular season, you killed it. Mm-hmm. You went overseas, you're doing your thing. That's worthy of a legitimate opportunity. Yeah. I believe you're going to get a shot in the league.
Yeah, I mean, look, he already was at Summer League last year. Had a great showing there, and there's no doubt he'll be back there this year again.
Yep.
I agree with you. I think he's got a legit shot. I mean, you look at what Torrey Craig's doing in the NBA with Denver. I mean, there's no reason why Mitch Creek can't do the same, if not better.
I agree. And it all comes down to opportunity.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of times people can go to Summer League, and guess what? Your room for error might be not as big as the other guys. So you might go in a little bit nervous because, you know, NBA scouts are all in there, NBA, and you might make a turnover. They might sub you out. That means your margin for error is little to none. Mm-hmm. It's hard to play perfect. This game is not a game where you can play perfect. You know, you're going to make mistakes versus a guy who margin for error is big, where you can't do any wrong. You're going to play more confident and more loose. And I think that opportunity he had last year in Summer League carried over this whole season. Absolutely. And now when he gets back there, he's going to be more comfortable because he's been there before. He's grown from the last year.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'd love to see Creek back in the league next year with Adelaide. If he's not back, it's a big hole to fill for them. But they've done well in recruiting a couple of young kids this free agency as well that I don't think we've mentioned yet. Harry Froling came back from Marquette.
Harry Froling, shout out to the young fella.
And Jack McVeigh out of Nebraska, who, you know, maybe could grow into that Mitch Creek type role over time.
What I do love about, if I don't know anything about none of these kids, right? What I love about Joey Wright, that's what he does. He develops young talent, and that's a beautiful thing. So any young guy who I don't know yet, if he's bringing them in, they got to be a young gun. And he loves to develop the young talent, as we always see, you know, Joey Wright do time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to take a break. And we're going to be right back because we're going to get into NBA. These Aussies that's doing their thing in the NBA playoffs. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Welcome back to Up Front. I'm CW. That's TH. We're going to jump right now into the NBA playoffs. And there's a lot to talk about. Let me open up my book. Alrighty. First matchup we're going to talk about. Western Conference. New Orleans sweep Portland. Thoughts?
Well, I had New Orleans beating them because I just like the way they finished the season. But I am stunned that they swept. I'm really stunned. Like, Lillard and McCollum, what happened? What happened? I mean, look, AD's an absolute load. Shout out to Drew Holiday, who has been incredible on both ends of the floor. And for those that know me, they know I have a man crush on Nikola Mirotic from years back, so I'm loving what he's doing there with the Pelicans. But what happened with Lillard and McCollum?
Here's what happened. Drew Holiday and Rajon Rondo. That backcourt came... Playoff Rondo. That backcourt came and straight up and down destroyed and shut that backcourt down in Portland. Here's my thing. Dismantle that duo. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. You had your run. You guys are great in the regular season. You know, you've had run in the playoffs in the West in the past. But after that type of performance, it's time to go separate ways. Mm-hmm. That's just what it is with that.
Yeah. So what do the Pelicans do? Like, they're obviously, I think they're going to come up against the... Houston now, or is it the Warriors? Houston, right? No, the Warriors? The Warriors, Thanks, Laurie. So there's no expectations on them getting through, and whatever they do from here is a bonus.
Yep.
And then they've got the Boogie question this off-season. Like, he's coming off an Achilles, not a great injury to come off, and looking for a max. What do they do?
I'm getting them out of here. You know, this is a business at the end of the day, and guess what? You're injured, it's unfortunate, However, we're not giving you the max. I'm not giving him the max. We don't even know if he's going to be able to come back from the Achilles. It's unfortunate and super talented. You know, for me, head case. Straight up and down. You know, and it's tough. But at the end of the day, I'm not giving him the max. Mm-hmm. You?
Tough. If not for the injury, I think, you definitely do. The way he was playing this year especially as well, and he was really gelling with AD. But, there's just no guarantee from that injury. It's just really tough.
Yep. So, good luck with that. But moving on. Houston up 3-1 over Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Well, today was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, Minnesota took game 3. And it was pretty much even at the half today. And then Houston came out and dropped 50 points in the third quarter.
Unbelievable,
I have
man.
never seen that before.
In the playoffs.
In one quarter. I mean, does teams just get fired on the spot? How does that happen?
Man, I just think that the focal point, first of all, that offense is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a team, offensively, they're just as equipped as a team, like a Golden State. They're loaded. You know, obviously they don't have any KD, but I'm just saying offensively they are equipped. And the way that offense is designed with James Harden at the point, pick your poison. Who you gonna double off of?
Yeah.
Whoever you double off of can hit the 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps the floor spread. And they got on fire in that third, clearly with a 50 ball. That was the game right there.
Crazy. That was a series right there for me.
Yep, okay. Speaking of Golden State up 3-0 against the Spurs.
3-1? 3-1.
3-1.
3-1.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But look, they're doing their thing, waiting for Steph to come back. Kawhi-less Spurs, no one expected anything out of them. So props to the Spurs for taking a game. You know, shout out to Pop, who's obviously doing it tough right now as well. It's really sad to hear. But this series is over. The Spurs just don't have the cattle to match that team.
Here's my thing. They clearly are getting more confident and getting informed. I think in the regular season, they were bored. Okay? This team is equipped. They've been there and done that. Okay? They are tailor-made for playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
This is where they're coming alive. No Steph Curry because he's injured. Guess what? When you when you finish off in 5, there's time to rest.
Yeah.
And he's coming back in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? This is still the team to beat.
I agree.
I don't care about Houston.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Houston because choke artist number 1 is Chris Paul.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been on great teams, really loaded teams, and have yet to deliver. Choke artist number 2, James Harden. And I'll tell you why. What did he do last year in the playoffs? Choke. He messed up on the road. It was his fault they lost that game on the road. Then he came home, I think 2 days later, and had 6 points or some nonsense or some crap like that. Then he went to the club to party after.
Yeah.
Choke artist. He is a regular season type of player. He's a regular season superstar. But on the big stage, he has yet to prove he can win and deliver. Let's go back a couple of years. When he was with OKC, 6th man of the year, they lost to Miami in the championship. He was nowhere to be found. Mm-hmm. I don't believe when the bright lights come on that stage that separates the elite from the superstars. You could have superstars that are not the elite.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't think he's that guy. Until he proves it, I'm not picking
Until
him.
he proves it, I agree. We'll see.
I know. All right. Moving forward to the East. Cleveland 2-2 against Indiana. Tied it up.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
My Indiana Pacers, who I'm loving. Oladipo's had a phenomenal year. He's carried it over. Bojan Bogdanovic stepping up at the right time. I mean, these guys have been in every game. Every game. Depot had a chance to tie it up in the Game 2 loss. It took Game 3, obviously. They were leading in the fourth quarter and had another chance in Game 4. They're really making Cleveland work. And to be honest, it's LeBron versus the Pacers right now. He has no help.
I mean, none. First of all, I want to give a shout out to LeBron. Okay? One, arguably, I believe this is his best season ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's never had this much pressure on him since winning his first championship.
Right.
Okay? But after that, he's never had this much pressure on him because, everybody's like, you can't win without Kyrie.
Yeah.
So he's played 82 games, never before. Year 15.
Unbelievable.
82, this is a freak of nature. 82 games, and he's statistically, I believe he's MVP of the league. Statistically, all his numbers are higher. It's either him or James Harden. For me, James Harden regular season, MVP worthy. All right? Anthony Davis, MVP worthy. But James Harden has stepped his game up this year. The only thing that James Harden is beating LeBron in is points per game. LeBron's stats are ridiculous, and they finished with the same record, regular season, that he did with Kyrie. Yeah. So I believe that he knows, like, I can't lose to Boston. Now he can lose to Boston because Kyrie's not there. But that pressure was on him. Because Kyrie had Boston rolling, and they're still rolling, playing good basketball without two of their superstars. Gordon Hayward out and Kyrie out.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to save this one for last. Toronto, Washington, tied at 2.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I'm surprised by this one, to be honest. Like, I like Toronto. I've always liked them. They've never obviously performed well in the playoffs. And they came out in those first 2 games like they meant business. Finally got it done. Both ends of the floor made a statement. They're really deep this year, and that was really evident in those first 2 games. And then, boom, they just hand 2 back to Washington on the road.
Yeah, man. I thought they turned the page as well, turned the leaf, because this looks like the old Toronto right now. They were dominant all season, and stuff like this shouldn't happen, especially if you're trying to level up and advance early.
Yeah.
You got to step on teams' necks when you're supposed to.
Yeah.
They had plenty of opportunity to, but they didn't deliver. But on the other end, you got to take your hat off to Washington Wizards for going back home, not playing well in those 2 games, and coming home and tying up the series, heading back up to Toronto.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how that one pans out. I mean, I still think Toronto will come through. Home court will be huge as well, obviously, for those last 3 games. But I'm surprised they're doing it this tough.
All righty. Boston and Milwaukee tied at 2. Thoughts?
Well, firstly, shout out to the Aussies because they really stepped up the last 2 games in those Milwaukee Bucks wins. Thon Maker barely played first 2 games, comes out, 14 points, game 3, 5 blocks.
Huge.
Then he gets another 5 in the next game.
Huge.
Delhi doing his thing, playoff Delhi's back.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a joy to watch. I mean, they're doing it against an undermanned Boston team, don't get me wrong, a young, inexperienced Boston team, led by really Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Horford, obviously. But it's really, this is a team that's growing into themselves, Milwaukee. They've struggled all year. They've had the coaching change, obviously. No expectations. And they made a series of it, which is great.
Which is absolutely, shout out to Thon and Delhi, because both of those guys, Delhi had trouble being in the rotation all year. So to have his opportunity now and stand up is great for him, his team, as well as Australian hoops, as well as Thon. Given the opportunity, 10 blocks in 2 games, that's ridiculous. Crazy. That's super crazy. And
get that man in a Boomers jersey anymore.
No, without a doubt.
Lamarnus, get him in a Boomers jersey.
Without a doubt, and I'm really, really excited to see next August that Boomers roster. It's going to be some hard decisions to make because who wouldn't want to play in Etihad at home playing against USA before you shoot off to go to play the World Games, Olympics, whatever it is. Yeah. But that's epic, and to have an opportunity to represent Australia on home soil versus Team USA. Huge. Come on, man, that's stuff you dream about. Huge. That's stuff you live for. So it's really interesting to see how that the makeup of that team is going to be. Which leads us to, speaking of leading us, against Boomers versus USA. Philly is up 3-1 versus Miami. This kid, this not even a kid. This young man is putting up unbelievable numbers. Ben Simmons, in my opinion, that's the Australian GOAT. I don't care who says anything. Because guess what? Nobody ain't done what he did in this situation. And that's real rap. The man had a triple-double. Game 3 on the road, he won game 2 and 3. And he's talking mad shit. James Jones or James Johnson? James Johnson trying to take his head off. Yeah. He's like, whatever.
Black belt James Johnson.
Black belt James. That's the last man you want to rock with. And Ben Simmons like, whatever. Mm-hmm. You know, I respect that. Rookie of the year. I know Donovan Mitchell's doing his thing, which 31, today he had 31 or 33. And he's up 3-1 versus OKC. Well, we didn't talk about that series, did we? Now, we'll get to that with Jingles and Mitchell and company. But what Ben Simmons is doing is phenomenal.
Unbelievable. I mean, as good as he's been all year, and you've seen it, like the playoffs is another level. You know, he started off the series without Embiid as well, and really just carried that team on his own. I mean, he's got great support from the veteran wings who've been shooting really nicely. But Simmons is just putting that team on his back. I mean, it's just huge. His first ever playoffs and doing this. I mean, he is a legit super duper megastar.
Here's what I like, though, because what I like is the beef that Donovan Mitchell has with. Hold on, my phone's ringing. Okay, forget him. But what I do like is the beef that they have.
Yeah.
Spider Mitchell versus Simmons. And what's awesome about it is, regardless of what, they're both, I don't care what you say, they're watching each other's numbers. Mm-hmm. I've been in those beefs. And any competitive player, you're watching the other, you might not say it, but you're watching to see what that guy does, because the race is still neck and neck. What you're doing on the East, we're doing on the West. And honestly, it's against a better team. Mm-hmm. Mitchell and company, Joe Ingles, balling, killing.
Yeah.
They're beating the big three, the OKC big three. They could clean that series up. Mm-hmm. You know, so whatever you do, we're doing on the West. What you're doing on the East, we're doing over here as well. So, of course, obviously, going back to Philly, you know, Ben Simmons is definitely trying to finish that off. But I respect I wish the NBA would, for this exception, do co-rookie of the years, because they both have been outstanding and huge for their teams. And you know, I wish them both luck. But it's just great to see what they're both doing and how they're leading their teams at this young stage in their careers. Now, let's go back. Utah, OKC. I know we touched on it a little bit, but let's really go in depth. Mm-hmm. Like, Joe Ingles looked like Joe Ingles from the South Dragons when he was with Gorgon. You know, it's great to see a guy, you know, I played against when I was here as a young kid who had so much talent, real scrawny little kid, lefty, cool little jump shot, get to the basket a little bit. To see him flourishing and shining the way he's shining in the league, leading his team on a big stage, is huge. Again, Australian hoops, like, you can't be any prouder than, especially this time around, watching these guys flourish and representing your country in the NBA.
Yeah, and I love the way that he just never backs down, which is the real kind of Aussie spirit.
Right.
I mean, you saw it today again, and I'm not really sure what's going on with this beef between him and Paul George. I feel like this dates back to the Rio Olympics. Paul George got roughed up by the Boomers, and he's the one player on that team that really took exception. And I kind of feel like Ingles and PG-13 have gone at it ever since. And you saw that today. I mean, right. Ingles was telling him about every shot that he made, you know, the antics up and down the court.
Right.
Like, but good on him. I mean, scoreboard tells the story, and they knocked it out.
It today. Sure does, you know. And you know, a lot of times that automatically, a lot of times you believe on paper that, you know, the American athlete is going to be all the time far superior than any other international. And that's not the case. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I don't care what your name is or where you're from. You got a ball. And that's why the game has to be played. You have to perform. And that's what's awesome about the game we love and play called basketball. It's competitive. So you got to come with it, you know. And good on you, Ingles. Yeah. I see you out there. Before we wrap, you got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, look, I'm just blown away by where everything's at right now. I mean, Andrew Bogut, he's coming to the NBL. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger. You know, it's been a pleasure joining you for these shows. Thanks for having me.
Man, thanks for coming through, getting it done. You know, I appreciate you, Laurie in the back. You know, this can't happen without you. I appreciate it as well. Liam, when you were here, I appreciate it as well. All I wanted to do was bring a platform to basketball in Australia. You know, we don't have a studio. We use in my living room. We can look. There's too many ways to get things done that you don't have to pay out of pocket. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You just have to have a team that believes in what's going on. And I appreciate your time and your energy, both of you, all three of you. And when Liam was here as well, you know, and that's what it's about: doing something we love to do, coming together and giving it to the people out there. I don't care if one person see it. I don't care if 500 people see it. As long as people are seeing and we're giving information. The more information that goes out there on all these media outlets, the better it helps the game grow. And that's all it's about. So I'm CW. This is TH. This is Up Front. Thank you and have a good one. Peace.